Hello everybody. It's only been a couple weeks since my last video, but I decided I'd make another one because I've made some progress on some things. I don't have a huge stack of computers or anything to show you, but I have been making some progress with some little things here and there that are actually kind of interesting that I'd like to discuss. This isn't a new machine, so don't get too excited. Not that it really matters to you anyway. This is one I've had for a while that I'm working on, but yeah, so anyway, first off I'd like to mention that today is the end of support date for Windows XP. It's been a pretty good 13 years since Windows XP has been introduced, and support for it is ending today. I don't know if it's ending at midnight tonight or what, but there are no new updates coming out for Windows XP, but I hope Microsoft will keep the update website going for the older updates. But anyway, yeah, this is a little note. So I'm actually loading Vista on this computer versus XP because it's more secure. This is for a friend. I'll discuss that in a little while. But anyway, so I did something interesting. I had this network running out here, obviously. I got my router that's right up there. And everything here was running on its own internal network. And for those of you who don't know already, I've explained this in my last videos. But this is not my house. There's another router inside the house that actually has an Ethernet cable that runs out here. In fact, I think Ethernet cables are only supposed to work up to 300 feet, but the cable's probably at least 300 or 400 feet long and works fine, but that's not the point. The point is that this is a router behind a router, and my friend came over last week, and I said to him, hey, you want to help me try to set up this router as a wireless access point? Because remember, one of you guys on YouTube recommended that I do that. Thank you to whoever that was who recommended that. So I decided to do it. So I'm going to give you a quick explanation of how I did that. It's pretty interesting. And effectively it makes it so that when I go on the network, I can see all my computers in the house as if it's on the same network, effectively just making this a wireless access point and a switch. So what I did was, and it was a bit more complicated than this. I mean, this is the theory behind it. It did take us a little bit of meddling around to actually get it to work. As you take your router, you disconnect it from everything. You plug a computer into it via, actually it can be Ethernet or wireless, whatever. And what you do is you disable DHCP. Now, for those of you who don't know what DHCP is, it's essentially the thing in networking devices that hands out IP addresses. In a small network like mine, you know, it's the router. The router does the job of handing out the IP addresses. But in a large, corporation or something where they have hundreds of machines, little routers like these are not going to be the ones handing out the IP addresses. So they actually have separate servers running that hand out the IP addresses and act as the DHCP servers. But the point is that you turn that off, and then what you do is you take the input connection, and instead of plugging into the WAN port, you can't really see that, but instead of plugging into the input port, you plug the input connection into one of the LAN ports, which is supposed to be one of the output ports, and bam, you got yourself a wireless access point. Although it's a problem because I connected to this router with my desktop over there, my old 2009 gaming PC, and I turned off DHCP, but I don't know what happened. I don't know if I shut off the router or something, but what happened was that I got disconnected from the router. Since DHCP was off, I tried to reconnect to it and couldn't because it wasn't handing IP addresses to me anymore. So I spent a while trying to figure out how to reset the router, and eventually did that and got it to work. But yeah, so that's that. So now if I go on my network on this computer, which I'm not going to do right now, I can see all the devices inside as if they're on the same local area network, which they effectively are. So that's pretty neat. But the only issue with that is that now I only have 3 free ports because I was using the LAN port as the input and output, of course, and 4 LAN ports as the outputs to here. But since one of the LAN ports is being used for the input and output, I only have 3 free. One of them goes to there, that desk over there where that computer is. One of them goes here, and originally 2 of them went down there. And my wiring system up here is a little bit sketchy. I don't have a wire that's long enough to go from the router all the way down, so I have a switch kind of acting as, well, what I should have is I should have one long cable, but I don't have that. I should have a extender that plugs those 2 cables into each other. That's what I should have here, but I kind of took the ghetto solution and just put a switch up. So there's only one wire. There's a black wire, and one of those white wires is another Ethernet wire that is supposed to go into the router, but I'm going to have to do some work here. I'm going to have to pull up that cable that runs under the table, and that piece of tape right there that goes up this pole. I'm going to have to pull that out and cut it to the proper length to plug into that switch, or just move that switch somewhere else. Maybe up there would be a better spot for it to get two connections up here. But that's enough of an explanation for that. Okay, now I've been doing a little bit of work on and off in here. There's been a lot of things happening in my life the past few weeks since my last video. Like 1 week I spent the entire time just completely out of it since I got my wisdom teeth pulled, and I was just, you know, on penicillin and ibuprofen and stuff that put me in a dizzy. So I wasn't really working on a whole lot of stuff here for that week. I don't think it matters a whole lot though. But I haven't been cleaning up a whole lot. I've been cleaning up a little bit, but making a bit more of a mess here and there. But I have processed a few PCs. Well, I'm working on processing the computers that have been lying around that I haven't done anything with. And this is a Dell Dimension E520 that's been sitting under the table here for like a year or so. And there was something wrong with it. I was setting up at one point, and I think the power light started doing a thing where whenever you turn it on, it goes solid amber and there's no video output. So I troubleshooted it a bit today, and it took me a long time to figure out what was going on. 'Cause a couple of days ago I put a different processor in it. It had a 1.8 GHz Core 2 Duo, and I replaced it with another 1.8 GHz Core 2 Duo. Actually, they're 1.86, but that's not the point. That seemed to solve the problem. But whenever I went to install Windows on it, it blew screen. So clearly something was wrong. Like every single time I tried multiple different installation medias. I tried on these install discs my friend gave me, which was nice of him. But I didn't use those because I wasn't going to use those anyway. Those were just for a test once I figured out that my other installation media wasn't going to work. But I eventually figured out there was a problem with the power supply after swapping out the memory, the CPU, unplugging the DVD drive and the hard drive, and all that. I eventually found out it was something wrong with the power supply, so I replaced that. But what's going on here with this different installation media is that this has Vista Business. I'm obviously not going to show you the code or anything on it, because I don't want any of you guys stealing it, even though Windows is already activated in this computer. I don't want anyone taking it. This is for Vista Home Basic and Home Premium. The only difference between Vista Home Premium and Home Basic is that Basic is 32-bit and Premium is 64-bit. I'm fairly certain the keys are interchangeable. So if you have a key for Windows Vista Home, you can use it for Home Basic or Home Premium, depending if you want 32 or 64-bit. But yeah, this is for Vista Business. Now, I don't have Vista Business CD, so what I did is I went online, I downloaded an ISO. Actually, you can't download an ISO online, I couldn't find any locations. There are 3 separate files you have to download. You have to install like boot.wim, something else.wim, and an exe file, and you run that, and it generates installation media. I put that into an ISO and popped it onto a CD. Only the 32-bit version. I haven't downloaded the 64-bit. Since I downloaded stuff at school, since the internet there is blazing fast, my school had a new building, the internet there is really fast. But for any of you who have watched more than like one of my videos, you know that my internet sucks, so I don't want to spend 10 hours downloading an operating system. So I downloaded 32-bit, since that was what I thought I'd need, and this contains all the versions of Windows Vista, but it's only Service Pack 1, and I could slipstream Service Pack 2 and a bunch of updates into it, but I don't think it's worth it. I'm probably only going to install Vista on a couple more computers in the next few months anyway, so it really doesn't make a difference. I have a lot to explain, my god. Okay, I'm already 9 minutes in. But I didn't download 64-bit, so I was testing this out with this disk, or rather, actually, I also put it on a USB drive. It's my brother's 32-gig USB drive. It's in my pocket, forget it. Because originally when this thing wouldn't boot, when it was blue screen, I thought it was a problem with my disk, so I went ahead and I wrote another disk. I should do DVD. Well, discs are DVDs, but I went ahead and I wrote another DVD and put it on USB, but I ended up installing it from USB. But I forgot they only had 32-bit, so I think the code I have for business would work with 64, but I'm not going to put more than 3 gigs of memory in this thing anyway, so it really doesn't make a difference. But I did go ahead and pop in 3 gigs of DDR2 533 MHz memory, and I took one 60 gigabyte SATA hard drive out of a Dimension 9100 that was lying around for a while that I completely forgot about. So that's the specs right now. I'm thinking of buying a 2.4 or 2.6 gigahertz Core 2 Duo. I think the 2.4 I can get for like 10 or 15 bucks in eBay, which is dirt cheap, by the way. And the 2.66 I can get for like 20 bucks on upgrading it with that, after I'm sure this thing's actually working properly. Okay, that's enough about that. I went ahead and I installed Vista Service Pack 2 on this. I know it's Vista. Vista has a poor reputation, but I've been told by many people that Service Pack 2 makes it a lot better for some reason. Not entirely sure though. I was going to download Vista Service Pack 2, but I already found out that actually no, it's the other way around. I downloaded Vista Service Pack 2 for this at school a couple days ago, and for my server, my Dell Power, just running in my basement, I went to download Service Pack 2 for Server 2008, but I realized that the files are the same, because I realized that the installation for Service Pack 2 for Windows Vista and for Windows Server 2008 are the exact same installation file. So that was nice. And what I actually did is here I can show you, go to network, I can connect to my server, which is running on the network, and this is part of the reason why I set up that to be a wireless access point, because I can connect to my server that's in my basement in the house from here, and I connected to my server. I'm not going to connect, but I have a couple of shared drives on my main PCs I've mounted as network drives that have a bunch of content on them. And actually, instead of popping it on a flash drive and building the flash drive out here, since the only flash drive I have that's big enough is the one I put the installer files for Vista on. You can't partition up a drive multiple ways if you're going to boot off it. I went ahead and I put it on my shared drive on my server and actually installed it from out here when the file was actually on my server inside, so I didn't have to put it on USB or anything, which is really useful. The transfer rate's about 5 or 6 megabytes a second over my network, but you know, it's quicker than putting it on a USB and pulling it off the USB, I guess. Especially considering the fact that it was going on my server anyway, since I was installing Service Pack 2 on my server. But yeah, now I'm downloading a bunch of updates. 388.8 megabytes. That's going to take at least 45 minutes to download. That's my internet for you. But yes, this computer is actually for a friend. It's my friend's mom. He's one of my best friends. His mom wants another computer, and she wants something that's affordable, like in the $100 price range. So I'm putting this thing together for him. And normally it sells for a lot more money, but I'm probably going to sell it to him for like $75 or $100. And that's with a 2.6 Core 2 Duo and 3 gigs of memory and all that. And I thought I had a spare Windows 7 key, and I told him, yeah, I'd be able to put Windows 7 on this thing for you, but I don't. So I'm putting Vista on, but Vista, it should be good enough. It's more secure than XP at least. I would put XP on it, but it's just not very secure at this point. Okay, so that's that. Now, I think that's all I have to mention on this machine. Pretty much. I think I've pretty much expended all forms of interesting dialogue on that. But I got my family's truck sitting out here. The thing doesn't start. Charge the battery, wrong switch, to make the damn thing start. So we can drive it out here and put a bunch of computers in the back of it, because a local band was coming here to record some of their album songs, so because we have a pretty good recording space. Move the ping pong table aside, and I set up right there. They brought their own drum set. I wasn't here for this since I was visiting the college I'm going to. This was last weekend, but yeah, so that motivated me in part to take a bunch of the servers I was given a few weeks ago, all 11 of them I think it was, and deal with most of them. I ended up scrapping all but 1 or 2. And they're all in the back here. I'll go out here really quick. This damn truck doesn't start again. We charged the battery last week, and it's been sitting out here for about a week, and in that time the battery didn't go dead. I don't know what's wrong with it, but it won't start. But anyway, this is a 9100 that I actually pulled the 160 gig SATA hard drive out of to put into the E520 I mentioned. And this thing was having weird issues too. Now, like the E520, I took this thing and I tossed it behind my table because it wasn't working at one point. I forgot about it for probably the better part of a year. But I troubleshooted it today, and I concluded the motherboard's dead. Depending on, well, I tried different power supplies and everything with it, but sometimes you press a power button and nothing would happen at all. Other times you press it and it would beep like crazy. Other times you press it and they would start up and then shut down again. So that was occurring with different motherboards, different CPUs, all that stuff. Not different motherboards, different power supplies and CPUs. So I scrapped the motherboard, just pulled all the hardware out of it and throwing the case out. So yeah, let me see, there's another machine that I got rid of today, I think. Did I? No, that was another day. But these are all my servers. That was the server I was going to keep, but I scrapped quite a few of them here. But yeah, that's it for that. And the 9100 and the E320 are the only two machines I've worked on recently. This was actually another server. It had a workstation motherboard at it. I don't know what I'm going to do with the case, so it's an unbranded case. I'll probably just get rid of it, but it is a pretty nice rail mount case that you can put pretty much any motherboard in for like a server rack. But I think I'm just going to get rid of it since I have no need for it, and I don't think anyone I know is going to want it. So I think that's pretty much it for in here. I could talk about my server a lot more. And on my server, my Dell PowerEdge, I actually have a Minecraft and Garry's Mod sandbox server running on it right now. And I am, as I mentioned, using it as a file share for my local area network. But I'm going to be a little bit worried about giving it my IP because I'm not entirely 100% sure that my network is super secure. If I give out the IP to all of my, 3,200 or so subscribers, I'm sure one person will try to, see what they can do as far as hacking into it. So I'm not entirely sure if it's secure enough to give it out to the internet. But I do have some of my friends playing out. Some of my friends join a Minecraft server every now and then, and my Gmod sandbox server sees some traffic. In fact, I should make some tutorial videos. I completely stuttered, I'm sorry. I should make some tutorial videos on how to set up a Gmod server. It's pretty interesting. But yeah, I'm not going to give up the IP until I do a little bit more work on making the server secure. So yeah, that's going to be pretty much it. I think that's it for this video. I might remember one or two things to mention, so I might go ahead and actually pop the camera back on after this recording's done and mention one or two more things, but I don't think that's going to happen. So I think it's going to be it for this video. I know I didn't have a whole lot of anything new, as much as kind of what I've taken that I've already had and repurposed. I did forget to mention something. Someone my dad knows is actually the landlord to the office my dad rents. He gave me a few machines and he wants me to upgrade them to 7. This is a Dell Dimensity 4600. It had 1280 megabytes of DDR memory, okay, 2.8 gigahertz Pentium 4, an MX440 video card, and a 60 gig hard drive. He gave me this, and he also gave me a, what was it? It was a Dell laptop. It's got a 2 gigahertz Core 2 Duo and a couple gigs of memory. He wanted me to upgrade them to 7. He didn't give them to me, but he wants me to take them and upgrade them. And I told him this 4600 was not really good enough to upgrade to Windows 7, so that wasn't really an option. And he hasn't got back to me yet on the other laptop because I need to go ahead and I need to have the logon information to pull all his files off using Windows Easy File Transfer Wizard. So yeah, I just thought I'd mention that really quick. Yeah, not super interesting now that I think of it, but I also have a job coming up pretty soon of upgrading all the computers in my father's office to Windows 7 because he works for an English company and he rents out an office because obviously, if you can't tell already, I don't live in England. So he rents out an office nearby. He has a couple people working for him every now and then. He has 4 different computers in the office. One of them is running Vista, so it is Vista, but it's not really a security concern. The other 3 are running Windows XP, so I get to have the nice, meaty task of spending my time upgrading them to all to Windows 7, which should pay me pretty well because it will be paid. I'll probably charge $15 an hour or so, I don't know. Which is pretty low for someone who actually knows what they're doing. To upgrade all those to 7, and I have to transfer all their files over. It's not an option to screw that up. It really isn't. So I don't think I'm going to document that process though, because it is potentially sensitive information I'm going to be working with. But yeah, just thought I'd mention that. I didn't mention this in my last video because it hadn't occurred yet, but I went on a college visit last week to the college I'm going to, and I decided when I visited there that I'm going to major in computer networking and cybersecurity with a potential minor in digital forensics. And that made me really think about how selling products like used computers isn't really going to be so feasible anymore. I thought about and considered the fact that if I'm going to want to be, entrepreneurial in the IT world, I'm going to have to sell services instead, because there are so many companies that need servers and file systems set up to work for them, and that's not going to go away for decades. I mean, computer repair guys aren't making as much money as they used to, but you know, networking and security specialists are certainly in just as high demand as they ever were, I think. So I'm interested in that, certainly, and that's what I'm going to major in. So so yeah, and while I'm in college, I actually am going to be running my business, hopefully, depending on how much business there is in Burlington, Vermont, to be had. But I might make some videos while I'm in college about, you know, documenting my process and all that. But yeah, just thought I'd mention these two quick things, little jobs that I have coming up that I might actually document, and a potential future for my channel. So yeah, that's it. So this is probably the actual point in the video at which I found it hilarious that my camera ran out of charge 3 seconds away from the end of the video. But thankfully I have my charger in here. While I was doing the work on the Ethernet cables that I mentioned earlier, I found my camera charger that I've been missing for months. It was plugged in right here, so I'm charging right now. Anyway, this is the actual point in the video at which I say thank you for watching, and yeah, it's ending for real this time, I guess. Now, that's a really bad way to end a video. I'm gonna try that again. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you all in the next video. That's more like it.